Hi, and welcome to the Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building podcast presented by Wolf Precision Incorporated, where we learn about and share long range shooting and custom rifle building. I am your host, Jamie Dotson, and welcome to the show. Hi, and welcome to episode 217 of Wolf Precision's Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Dotson, and welcome back to the show. In this episode, we're going to dive into the art of learning to build your own custom rifle. We have some new and upcoming armors classes that will be starting in March, and some new tooling and some really exciting releases that will be happening after the first of the year here, as well as a couple Q&As that we've taken over the phone that I think are worthwhile talking about here regarding direct thread suppressors. So it ought to be a great podcast. So without further ado, here we go. All right, before we get started, I want to say a quick thank you to TriggerTech. TriggerTech is the maker of fine rifle triggers. We put them in all of our custom rifles here and recommend them for all of our customers. They are probably one of the easiest to install, safest triggers, and easiest to adjust on the market today with their patented system on how the roller system works inside the trigger. So if you want to upgrade your rifle and you would like to do it with the trigger, you can stop over and see the fine selection at triggertech.com. That's triggertech.com today. We'd also like to thank MDT, maker of fine rifle chassis, everything from the unsung hero we call the Orcs to the ACC Elite, ACC Premier, to there's so many great chassis to choose from. And I think with a lot of shooters, whether they're shooting custom or factory, finding your stock that you can actually adjust to fit you properly is a game changer. If you plan on shooting beyond 700 yards regularly, it has to fit you perfectly. So if you want to look at their fine selection today, you can stop over to mdttac.com. That's mdttac.com today. All right, let's start off with the question that a customer had called in and asked about direct thread versus quick detach systems, especially when it comes to bolt action rifles. We're going to do some video reviews on this, as well as how to clean a suppressor properly, how to check for alignment. There's lots of issues that can be good and bad with using a suppressor with any rifle, and they can definitely cause some problems for you. Now, we're not going to cover all that here in a podcast, but I do want to share with you, if you're shooting a bolt action rifle, we absolutely 100% recommend direct thread. One of the biggest problems with a lot of your quick detach systems is the lockup. And if something goes awry, or you're introducing that other part that now has to be aligned, connecting those two together, if that's not done perfectly, you can have issues. I remember one of the largest suppressor makers, and most expensive, by the way, we had brought two of them in for testing. With the one adapter, we were getting baffle strikes, and it was the adapter itself or the brake or detach system, quick detach system, that was the problem. We could put one of our suppressors on it, direct thread, and the bullet left straight through the barrel. And we'll show you how to do that in an upcoming video here on our YouTube channel, where we're trying to do 100 videos in 100 days. We'll show you how to check this to save you a lot of money and heartache when you shoot your suppressor off the end of your rifle, right? Or put a giant hole through it. But always, always, always go with direct thread. The gunsmith that had been working with this gentleman had said that you don't want to go direct thread because eventually you're going to wear your threads out putting on and off your suppressor on your barrel. I can get to concern if you don't lube everything and keep everything, nice and clean. But honestly, that was absolutely not good advice. I mean, that's the furthest thing from the truth that you can get, and probably with good intentions. I don't want to say that he lied, and he probably has good intentions in what he's trying to say, but we have a shooting school here, all 100% suppressed. Suppressors can be rented and used on a customer's brought rifle here. So if you come to the shooting school and you don't have a suppressed rifle, in our presence, we will put one of our suppressors on your rifle to enjoy it during the class. And of course, we take it off at the end of the day. We've been doing that for 20 years. And it was mandatory, for the last at least 10. We have taken these suppressors on and off at least, I would say, 60 to 100 barrels that we've shot out through the course of the year, constantly putting the suppressors on and off for the school, on customers' rifles for testing. I mean, I can just tell you that these suppressors have been spun on and off more than what 10 lifetimes of use would put them through, and no damage to the direct thread on the suppressor or on any other rifles. So it's just almost a guarantee that you're going to get a straighter alignment. Now, not always. It depends on the person and the quality of the barrel. And we'll dive into that on some video series that we're going to do on this, because I think it's pretty important. These things are expensive. You don't want to shoot them off your rifle, and you don't want to damage them for sure, right? But that said, direct thread for bolt action rifles. So you won't damage your threads, and you're going to have a better chance of having better alignment. And keep in mind, bolt action rifles are more for precision anyway. So you're trying to get that as best a perfect alignment as you can get. Where with gas guns or an AR type platform, these are battle rifles. They're capable of shooting, don't get me wrong, but if they don't shoot quite as good with the quick detach system, then it's no harm, no foul. And we'll talk about this in some upcoming videos, even how to verify that you've got a good suppressor, a good alignment, all this cool stuff to protect your investment and your equipment as well. So coming up in 2025, we've been working on our ACE system here for quite a long time. And in my heart, I've always felt that taking that next step forward is about trying to bring people more enjoyment while they're shooting, getting more people the ability to have a super high quality rifle. Here I always say that there's more people to pull up than pull down. And it's sort of almost a business model, but this in the sense that there is such a great pool of people that love to shoot, and rifles are a luxury, right? They really are. And when you get into more expensive rifles, the more of a luxury they become. And at some point, they can really get into a luxury item like a Rolex. And take, for example, some of the more expensive branded hunting rifles. So it's sort of like shooting a Rolex rather than wearing one. But there are more people to pull up to a better quality rifle, I think, than to pull down and compete with the quote unquote Rolex and I don't want to give any insinuation that I think any other rifles are better than ours. I don't believe that in a million years. I think all the core components that we use here are leaps and bounds ahead of anything that anyone else is using, and the quality of craftsmanship that we use when we build these components is second to none, along with the skill and the people and the machines and the technology. I mean, everything that we do here is about building not just a great custom rifle, but the very best that we can, and to offer the very best on the market. But that said, though, for example, we had a customer call in today that we build a custom rifle for, and he wants to build a rifle for his son. Now, he's older, so it's not a child, but he was like, hey, we're looking at some factory rifles, some Bagaras, some this, some that, the other thing, and how close can you get with one of your rifles to the pricing of that rifle? And that means we're doing our job. That means we're doing the right thing, right? I get it that you can sort of brand yourself and make yourself more profitable. And I get it that, playing into that clientele is not a bad thing, but I've never met anyone that's worked really hard and has built any real wealth that doesn't mind saving $1 for a better product either, right? But in my mind, that means we're getting there. We're one more step away from getting a super high quality custom rifle to the masses, right? And so, yeah, it was a great question, and I was like, yeah, that's our goal. That is our end goal. Our goalpost, our touchdown, our where we score is when we finally are able to get the message across or get the product in the place to where people now have a choice that you can buy a major mass-produced, expensive factory rifle. So think of all the different ones that are out there. You've got bolt guns made from many different manufacturers that are in excess of $2,000 now. And to get you in a world-class, quote-unquote, custom rifle with just a pinch away, we're really close to breaking that barrier. And that is where that's where innovation comes in. That's where technology comes in. That's when you've taken something that was only made for the people that could afford it, or the people that you want to serve, or the people that want to charge extra for. And we've now turned it into something that the average person can have a rifle. When they get to the range, they smile when they open the case up, right? They're like, wow, this is awesome, right? Your heart just races a little bit. And you've got the same smile when you put it away. You're like, there's nothing like shooting a great rifle. The amount of success that you have, the amount of fun that you're going to have, and everybody deserves that. Like, we have customers that come through the shooting school here. Just to give you an example of the mindset that happens, we have customers that will come through the shooting school here, and they'll use a school rifle, for example, and they'll shoot like, oh, I never believed I can shoot like that, right? And part of it is fundamentals. I mean, they have to be, you take a world-class car and put a terrible driver in it, and they're never going to be a world-class driver, right? So they have to do their part, but the rifle has to do its part. They go home and they get their rifle out, whatever it may be, brand A, B, C, and they call like a month later and they're like, I'm driving myself crazy. I know I can shoot better than this. Like, I'll shoot 3 rounds or almost, and the next one's way out of there. I don't know what's going on. Like, it's the rifle. That's your partner right now, and that's its capability. And now you are a much better driver with a sloppy steering wheel that you try to make the turn and it wants to cross the center line. That's the rifle. And so your rifle should always, always be better than you. The only way you grow as a marksman is you have to have equipment that's more capable than you are. And that allows you to push your abilities to match it. That's the secret. And so my goal is to try to get this out to where the average person can afford it. I mean, hey, look, I make no bones about it. When I was a teenager, I mean, much, like 17, 18, 19, I worked 2.5 jobs, honest to goodness. I was in the National Guard. Of course, back then, that didn't pay much in the late 80s, early 90s. I was going to school, and I lived in, I rented from my uncle. It was an drivable RV that was like 22 feet long. I slept above the steering wheel. That was the best I could do, right? So I am the furthest person from a silver spoon you will ever meet, right? And I worked hard. Oh my God, did I work hard, right? But it's the American dream. You put your boots on every day, you keep going to work, but that's the situation that I was in. I lived in a drivable RV, and I didn't drive the RV, and it was permanently parked. But yeah, I spent the whole summer or 6 to 9 months in there so I could save up money and get reset for getting an apartment and everything else. But yeah, I remember it specifically because it had such a small hot water heater in it that I could get lathered up, but I couldn't get rinsed off before the water turned cold. And you want to talk about some world-class, super fast showers. So my wife will laugh and she will like, how do you get ready in 10 minutes? And I'm like, live in an RV for a little while and realize you've got 3 minutes before the water turns cold, and you learn how to take really fast, efficient, and clean showers. So when I talk about stuff like this and I say, look, we're trying to offer to the public a world-class rifle that people can afford. Like my first custom rifle that I started trying to get some gunsmithing work done, and I was competing. I was working hard. I had a young family, still had 2.5 jobs, and a small business I was trying to grow, right? Talking back in when I was in my 20s, and then even into my 30s, right? I learned to build custom rifles, and I put all the things that I've learned over the years in my experiences and working with custom rifles and shooting to start building my own. Now, I was blessed that I've had lots of machinists that were world-class machinists and tool and die makers that were both relatives and friends. So I had this pool of talent to really help me hone my skills in grinding my own tools. And there was so much. I made my own spiders, per se. I bought a lathe that in 1978 cost $18,000 with no tooling, had 100 hours on it, had shipped from California. I made sure I had the best of everything to make the best of everything. And I worked really hard to do that. But one of the things that was important to me was I couldn't afford to go out and spend $6,000-$7,000 on a custom rifle. I couldn't. I mean, I would go to matches with a Savage that I cut a crown on and lapped some lugs, or a Trude Remington 700 that I did. And I would be so, I don't want to say jealous, but you get there and there's a guy that's fully sponsored, $5,000-$6,000 custom rifle, Schmidt and Bender, $3,000-$5,000 scope on it, just everything world class. And I was like, wow, how do you get there? Like, how do you have something like that? What am I doing wrong in life? But it's stages in life. It's something that everybody goes through, right? And I can't say that I was ever jealous or envious. I love to throw my factory rifle in the ring and give them a run for their money, right? So I was convinced that I could still compete with good talent, even though I was driving the average sports car, right? But that's what got me started into building. And so that said, that's why I want to serve these individuals that want a great shooting rifle, but can't afford it. I mean, honestly, a $7,000-$8,000 rifle is a luxury item. And for those that can afford it, I'm not shaming you. You've worked really hard to be successful in all the things that you've done in life. You deserve it. It's like the guy with the Rolex watch. I have no interest in purchasing a Rolex watch. I don't own one, but I don't begrudge anyone that has one. I mean, that's really awesome to have something so cool and honestly quite neat in their craftsmanship and, how they're built and all that. But I want to be able to help those experience the joy and love that I had in shooting and be able to afford it, right? And so our thing here is to say, look, what can we do to not just build a rifle, but the rifle, the very best in the world in technology and everything it has to offer, including the A system, which, now we've got some really cool stuff coming for 2025. We think it's the final straw or nail in the coffin that's going to allow us to go ahead and flip the needle and blur the lines between factory and custom. So that's our life story. That's my life story. And that's sort of why, maybe I'm wrong. I've sat down with many business entrepreneurs and coaches over the years, and I've had lots of friends and customers that worked for Georgia Tech and other companies that are super smart and helping businesses grow and expand and become extremely, extremely successful. And, for me, I wasn't ever really about branding our stuff and hanging our hat on a name. I wanted to be able to get this rifle to as many people to enjoy as possible while taking care of ourselves, while being able to grow as a business, while being able to pay our team members here, a good living salary and be able to hire more people. I mean, that's sort of the job of a business anyway, and be able to do that while still offering just the world-class rifle at a price that people can afford. So we'll get off of that. Now, a couple of things that are coming up with Wolf Precision in 2025, which I'm super excited about, is we will have our armory classes in person teaching people how to build and maintain them. So one of the things that the average person cannot do that the gunsmith does for them is chambering, right? The A system was designed to actually enhance the accuracy of the rifle. So the A system itself is a standalone chamber built completely separate of the barrel. It is designed to allow us to only cut the throat into the barrel, which is the straightest portion, the very first inch. So we're cutting very little into the entry point of the barrel, but then we can actually maintain incredible tolerances on the actual chamber itself because it's now its own entity and we get access to it from both sides. We can make a perfectly straight and true chamber. And we can make one that perfectly lines up straight and true to the barrel, and then we can cut a straight throat. The other hidden secret is the dampening harmonics that happen when you thread that. So in the early years of developing the A system, an engineer came to us and said that one of the reasons he believes that not just all the straightness, but that we're seeing a big success in the accuracy of the rifles is that us breaking it in two and putting it back together, in other words, we've got a chamber in between the barrel and the receiver, has dampened all the harmonics of the barrel, basically kills it. It doesn't allow it to ring. It's like taking a tuning fork and welding it back together. It won't ring anymore, right? So that was one of the theories. And then when you start doing more research into threads and the air and how they do stop harmonics from transferring to the rest of the barrel, that's part of it too. So it's pretty neat, the technology. It certainly is amazing to watch work. And we've been working on it for, I think it's 7 years now, so it's not new. And I think we're getting ready to get into our Gen 4 Ace. Now, next year in 2025, we're going to have 2 or 3 things going on. The first part is we're going to start filming our armory courses. So teaching people how to install and remove their own chamber off their own barrel. So you think about just the whole world of opportunities that brings up for so many different people. Number one, the chambers are reusable. So once you have your load worked out and you've got your dies set up and all that, if you shoot your barrel out, you're not in panic mode to get another barrel cut to hope that the chamber is of the same dimension. You're actually shooting the exact same chamber, just a new throat and a new barrel. So all of your stuff stays the same. And the fact that you buy a chamber once. So, for example, when we first developed the Ace system, the Ace cost us about $585 a piece to manufacture. I mean, until you do everything that was involved in it, not just the actual making of the part. It's super expensive, way more expensive than a traditional gunsmith would chamber a barrel. And if by year 2 or 3, we had the cost of the Ace system down to about $385. Years 4 and 5, we got it down to about $285. year 2024, 2025, and a new Gen 4 Ace coming out with very inexpensive tooling that's consumer-based. So we've got the price down to $185, and it will last you for the rest of your life. So imagine purchasing a chamber job from a gunsmith for $185 and him guaranteeing to rebarrel or put that chamber in any barrel for the rest of your life for free. That's pretty cool. So the price of the chambers now, or at one point, was way more expensive than a traditional gunsmith, but now we've gotten it down to about half the cost of the gunsmithing, right? Now, we still have to thread the barrel for a nominal fee to accept the ace and cut the throat, and then we offer, of course, to thread the muzzle and crown it and all that stuff. So there is some machining that has to be done to the barrel, but we don't have to put the chamber in it. And that part becomes even that much more efficient. So the beauty of that is that we can actually send you in 2025 a barrel with some very simple tools, and you can put the chamber on and off yourself. You can change it. So, for example, 22 Creed's my favorite right now, but let's just say the 22 Art comes out in 2025, which it will, and you want to shoot it and try it. Now, it's not a quick change system where you're going to be 2 minutes and like NASCAR team, swapping out tires in 30 seconds and off and shooting. It takes 5 or 10 minutes. Tear the rifle down, take the old ace off, put the new chamber on, and you're shooting a 22 Arc. How cool is that? Change your bolt face of the bad action and make it a 223. So it really allows almost like a blend of the bolt gun and AR world, and the fact that you can change a lot of the components to fit your current needs. So not only are you able to buy a world-class rifle at a reasonable price, but then you can modify it as time goes on. You're not just stuck with hey, I'm going to buy a 308. Well, it's going to be a 308 for the rest of your life, even though you may never need a 308 ever again. That's what you got. Where in this case, you can change it up and change it to whatever you need. You need a 6.5 PRC for elk hunting, change it up, and you're off in elk hunting. So for 2025, we have the ACE system, of course. The big thing that we were working on this year is developing our own barrel vise, because it requires a really good, strong barrel vise to support the barrel to attach and detach the ace. And a lot of the barrel vices that are out there, some of them are very expensive, and some of them really aren't designed the way that we would want it designed to really, from almost like a machinist standpoint of how you would really grip a product properly and not do any damage or any scratching. So we developed the Wolf Precision barrel vise. The other thing was developing a new tool to take the ace on and off from the consumer perspective. So the tools that we use here now are rather expensive. They are probably close to $300 our cost. And they are meant for if we were just to go into straight production and start just doing massive assembly here, but it doesn't finish what we started. Like, our end goal was always to turn the keys over to the customer. So developing a chamber wrench that was able to be purchased for a reasonable price by the customer, strong, and do its job well, was absolutely critical. And we nailed it. So we have the 2025, a new chamber wrench that will allow the consumers to take the aces on and off themselves very easily, very efficiently, and at a cost, I think, of around $85 for the wrench. So it's not very expensive when it comes to the actual purchase of some of the tools. And the barrel vise, $185. I think they're on sale right now on our website for $175. So you like to purchase one, they are there. We certainly appreciate it. But we're trying to keep it so that the tools don't cost an outrageous amount of money to do the work either. So with those two tools and an action wrench and a set of fix-it sticks, you could basically rebuild your entire rifle from start to finish, top to bottom, change up any parts and pieces that you need, or change them as times change if you need something different. So for 2025, we'll be filming an online tutorial that will cover a lot of this, and we're probably going to have to do it through Patreon, again, just because we have to protect ourselves that no one under 18. The algorithms on some of the platforms that you see out there, YouTube might be a good example, could just shut our whole channel down if we start showing too much on assembly of firearms. I mean, you know the environment that we're working in now, and so we have to be careful that what we put up and where we put it up. And so Patreon allows us to have customers there. They have to be verified who they are. And then we have a third party that we post a video up through that we can archive it, save it. It lives forever. Nobody can tear it down. It's just not going to disappear overnight if somebody decides to pull the plug on us. So that's coming. And then in March, we have a armors class. And so you'll start to see about once a month, we're going to bring clients and students in that would like to see how the ace is done and how to do the assemblies, and probably invite you in and have a nice lunch and go over some of the tips and tricks of building a rifle. It's not going to be super intense. It's not going to be, in a classroom on your butt looking at blackboards and chalkboards for 8 or 10 hours, but it's going to be a little bit of hands-on as well to show you how to do it and give you a chance to actually experience it and get some hands-on, as well as some certifications if you would like to do it. For example, like if you own a gun store or a gun shop, or if you're a gunsmith and you don't want to have to go out and buy a lathe and a mill and all these other things that a traditional gunsmith would need, well, you could purchase the aces from us with our system and do the assembly and take care of your customers there where you're at. Now, in 2025 too, we are going to be looking for, and what we would consider almost like a Wolf Precision Service Center. So we'll be looking for some strategically located shops and places that would like to work with our system to build and offer custom rifles for their clients, as well as a place that we can refer local clients to that would like to go and see the ACE system in person, or would like to have a local resource rather than, having to deal with things across the line. Now, you'll see that program come up, a dealer program available in 2025 as well. That will be extremely limited. And of course, a lot of it's going to be representing us here. So, we'll be pretty selective on who we partner with and how it's going to be handled. But we would like to offer that. And I think to a benefit to the customers that have that resource out there, at least some place that they can get within driving distance. I mean, for me, that's probably the most important part. Now, in central Pennsylvania, what's pretty nice is they say we're within a day's drive of like 70 or 80% of the population of the United States. So think of where we're at and how populated the Eastern Seaboard is, from Florida the whole way up to Massachusetts and going out to Illinois and even Wisconsin. I believe on the 23rd, we have a customer coming in from Wisconsin to pick up their rifle. So we have a vast amount of people that can get here if they would like to, but the folks out west or the folks in Texas, they're pretty far away. And so that would be nice to have that resource there too. So lots of big changes. You're going to see some videos coming up, little teasers, I would say, up on YouTube, just showing you some of the new tooling, showing you some of the examples of how some of it's going to work. And I'm really excited. And keep in mind with the ACE systems too, of course, they're always guaranteed for life. So if you ever drop one off your bench and it bangs off the floor and dings to threads, you send it back, we give you a new one at no charge, which is pretty cool as well. Anyway, so lots of great changes coming up for 2025. We are going to do an entire series on suppressor, some care and maintenance and some things. I've spent a fair amount of time on suppressors talking about this over the last years, and I think it's just good information to share because a lot of our clients do shoot suppressed, and it's a question we get regularly. So we're going to do up an entire part of this with our 100 videos in 100 days. And you can see all this on YouTube. So if you would like to see the videos, you can stop over to YouTube. Just look for Wolf Precision. Don't forget to subscribe and like. That helps a lot with the channel there. And we'll just have to be a little careful on how much we show there because of all the rules or regulations that they post up as well. So anyway, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. We're looking forward to Christmas. Thank you, everybody, for supporting here at Wolf Precision, our long-range shooting schools. We have almost all of our schools are filled up for 2025. I think we only have like 10 slots left. So if you'd like to join us here for a 3-day in-person class, 5 students a class, we only have 10 slots left, I think, for the entire year. And then that's it. You also see that we offered a reloading class, and that will be the 2 days prior to our first armors class, and that is in March. And I think we have a couple slots open for that as well. And then don't forget about our online long-range shooting school for the customer that would like to attend our school but can't come for 3 days straight to come to Pennsylvania. It is our entire 3-day shooting course in video format, with hours and hours and hours of video. It is our full-on 3-day shooting school there for you to enjoy and learn from the convenience and comfort of your own home. And for those that are attending the school here, coming in for the first time, I really recommend maybe even stopping over there and joining it for a month or two and getting ready for the class here. I think hearing it for the first time, just get your whistle wet for getting here and getting ready to go when we actually do the hands-on here at the shooting school. So thank you, everybody, for supporting our business through the years. Thank you for all that have reached out, the opportunities that we've had. We've been very blessed through the years with just really, really awesome clients that have helped us, supported us, have referred to us. I mean, all that's so important, and we really appreciate it, and we do not take that for granted. We make sure that we try to hold ourselves to those standards at all times. And then if you enjoy the podcast and would like to share it, please feel free to do so. It helps us a lot in our ratings and standings. And of course, if you'd like to support the podcast and all the video work that we do, you can stop over to Patreon. We call it a Buck a Cup Club, where it's $3 a month to support the show. It's our Wolfpack. We appreciate that. That's $20 a month. And then, of course, our online long-range shooting school is $49 a month. We really appreciate those people as well. So thank you, everybody, for taking the time to join us. We super appreciate it. And looking forward to a great 2025 as we're winding down this year. And keep an eye out on YouTube. There'll be some sneak peek videos of some of the tooling that's coming up. If you'd like to be curious and see what we're doing, we'll be dropping some little teasers as we get closer. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to join us. My name is Jamie Dotson. I'm your host, and you're listening to Wolf Precision's Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building Podcast.